New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, the Reverend James Webb, author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, as well as a number of other prosperity books, including Prosperity from A to Z, Forgive Your Way to Prosperity, 30 P's for Prosperity, as well as Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board. I also serve as the senior minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C. And it's always a wonderful pleasure to be with you on Sunday evening. So say hello, let us know you're here. For each Sunday evening, we come together to discuss prosperity. We may discuss an aspect of prosperity because prosperity is multifaceted. We may discuss professional prosperity, where you have a wonderful job with wonderful pay, where you provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way, a la Florence Scovel-Shinn. We may discuss spiritual prosperity, where you find and hold the peace that passes all understanding. We may discuss relationship prosperity, where you have done the inner work to cultivate a relationship with yourself that is loving, accepting, and peaceful, so that your outer reflections reflect your inner relationship with yourself, and they are supportive, where they are loving, where they are harmonious. We may look at a prosperity of good things in terms of support, where you have learned to support yourself well and sabotage yourself less, so that your world is supportive. Now, one of the things you're finding here is a theme that prosperity begins within. And as we cultivate a prosperous inner consciousness, our outer world must reflect that. That's the spiritual law of cause and effect, which is an extension of the simple law, the law of love. When we cultivate love within us, our world reflects that love. And prosperity is simply a number of different forms that love could take. So we're going to get at it tonight. And one of the things we're going to do tonight is we're going to remove one of the barriers to prosperity, or a multitude of barriers to prosperity. The multitude of barriers to prosperity we are going to remove are the inner saboteurs, those parts of our consciousness that of which we may not always be aware, but that sabotage the prosperity that we desire. Now, it's easy to dismiss them as, oh, just that inner negative self-talk. But this aspect of us perhaps has become so prevalent and it disguises itself so well that we must learn to, first of all, identify the inner saboteurs and then to mollify until we eliminate the internal saboteurs. So that's what we're going to discuss tonight. Silencing prosperity's saboteurs. And I've got some help tonight with our producer, who I really appreciate, Reverend Michael Mangus. He's going to ask some questions that we're going to discuss about silencing your inner saboteurs. Hello, Michael.
Good evening, Reverend Dr. Jim Webb. How are you this fine evening?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. All right. So we're talking about eliminating the inner saboteurs. So what is this thing called the inner judge?
The inner judge is the part of us that actually is a trauma response. You see, in our consciousness, we have been wounded. We have been taught that the world is a wicked, hostile place. We have been taught that the world would hurt us because something is wrong with us. And this is miseducation. However, the inner judge has been traumatized by this miseducation and looks for the potential for pain everywhere it looks. So it judges everything in terms of how it presents a potential for pain. And as Carl Jung said, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Right.
So when you look at everything in terms of how will this hurt me, you judge it all negatively and you look right past that which could help you. So that's how the inner judge, that's what the inner judge is, and it sabotages the good that we could be overlooking.
Okay, so how does this differ then from the inner critic?
The inner judge focuses that hypervigilance outside of itself. The inner critic takes that same hypervigilance and focuses it on us. Every little criticism we've ever experienced, every little hurt we've ever experienced, every little slight we've ever experienced, it creates a story about all of these. And that story, that narrative diminishes its power to create, allow, and accept prosperity. So they're two sides of the same coin. The inner judge judges everything outside of it for its potential to hurt us. The inner critic hurts us by judging everything within us based on our miseducation and our prior mistreatment.
Okay,
and they both hurt us.
Okay, so how do we know that we have this running? When I work with clients and individuals, that one of the things is that, having a neutral party kind of point this out when they go ahead and they say it. So how can an individual then start taking a look at these voices within them? What are some things, how can we address that?
Yes. One of the ways that we can address the inner saboteurs is by sitting in silence and listening to them. Because quite often they operate just under the surface and we don't hear them consciously, but we react to them. And so when we sit in silence and we have created a safe space where we feel the flow of spiritual energy, where we feel embraced by spiritual energy, we can then ask ourselves, what would my heart desire? And then we can ask ourselves, what stands between this? What stands between us and this heart's desire? And guess what? That's when you are inviting your saboteurs to bring themselves forward And they will, because they've been waiting to chop you off at the knees.
Can I share a technique?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think a lot of times what individuals who use affirmations and also denials in their own inner work, if you start with the whole idea again from let's say, for example, that you go ahead and you say, uh, you know, money comes to me easily and effortlessly. I'll just use that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
What I train my clients to do is not to ignore the noise, because there will,
Mm-hmm.
if you do not believe that, then
Mm-hmm.
what happens is that the inner critic, the inner
Yes.
judge, the
Yes.
noise is so pay attention to that. You may
Yes.
even write it down. And
Yes.
then again, keep saying the affirmation, because what happens is that, we is that if when we go ahead and we start putting positive in there, that what happens is that the negative comes up automatically. So
Absolutely. We smoke it
and
out.
so right. And so don't deny it. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can't deny the truth of it, but
Mm-hmm.
don't, you know, and again, you're talking to someone who's been in New Thought and metaphysics for like 40 years. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that in the beginning that I was taught to go ahead and to ignore that.
No.
And what I have learned over the years is, and again, working with other people, is do not ignore that. That is your healing. Those are the things that keep you from, I'll just use the example again, money coming to me easily and effortlessly.
Right.
So notice the noise when you go ahead and
Yes.
you put a positive statement. Do you have anything to add to that?
Absolutely. I call that smoking out the saboteur. Eon Levan says, when you declare yourself a thing, anything unlike it comes up for healing. And this is
Absolutely.
actually an important part of the process. We have been taught, unfortunately, to gloss over that. And what we gloss over, we know we never address, and it keeps repeating its, let's call it, its non-productive chatter, and keeps us from our good. So the first thing we do is we listen to it. Where did you learn? And I teach my clients to ask it questions. What is the story you were telling yourself? Where did you first learn this? When did this crystallize in your consciousness? Is this true based on what you know now? Is this effective in getting you towards your goal? If this is not true and it is not effective, what would be a story that would be true or effective? What would be a story that would get you to your goal instead of keeping you from your goal? And these are the questions I teach my clients to ask themselves. And these are the questions I ask my clients. And also, I ask questions such as, how old were you when you learned this? Because quite frankly, there is a part of us, and we'll get to this a little later when we talk about the inner child, but there is a part of us where the vast majority of our consciousness crystallized, and we don't realize we're still working out of that. Let's call it the small pocket of negative consciousness, covered over by this large halo of positive affirmations. And then the small pocket of negative consciousness is actually overruling this large halo of affirmations. So, number one, we have to recognize it exists. Number two, we have to look at it objectively from our place of power. And when we can look at it objectively from our place of power, which is why I often recommend going to that safe space of prayer and meditation where you have become adept at knowing of your highest self. Because from this perspective, we can see that little pocket of resistance for what it is. It's a little child stomping its feet. It's a 13-year-old who's been filled with doubt changing and they don't understand who they are anymore. It's the post-adolescent who learned of first love rejection and these stories about not being good enough, these stories about something being wrong with them clicked in. And 20, 30 years later, these stories still, I love your word, background. Because then 20 or 30 years later, these stories are still chattering in the background. And
Right.
these are the saboteurs that keep us from our desires. So we have to identify them, we have to listen to them, and then we have to retrain them, because those are the parts of us that have been miseducated. So we need to re-educate these parts of us, and we have to heal them with this miseducation. And the healing of them has to do with allowing our light that we have become adept at drawing to us, heal the wounds that these parts of us still hold. There's still a wounded child within us.
Yeah.
There's still an unsure adolescent within us. There's still a young adult who doesn't have their land legs yet, lacking confidence in the world, believing the world is going to hurt it. That part of
Right.
us may still be working within us. And that's the part of us that when God says yes, that's the part of us that says no.
So
We
another
have to listen to it.
So another
Go ahead.
technique that works is, and I point this out, is that, for example, I'm talking to you now. All right.
Mhm.
So that's one level of consciousness. But
Mhm.
going on in my head is another set of inner cognition.
Mhm.
And so another exercise is this: to sit down for 15 minutes, set your timer on your phone,
Mhm.
sit down for 15 minutes and do stream of consciousness writing.
Yes.
Whatever is there, just go ahead and write it down. Again, don't
Yes.
judge it. Just go
Mhm.
ahead and write it down. If you're
Yes.
feeling anything but peace in your
Mhm.
life, if you're dwelling in kind of a lower vibration, then take out again your journal if you have one,
Mhm.
or go
Yes.
get one, and then
Mhm.
go ahead for 15 minutes. Go ahead and just stream of consciousness of listening again to that inner voice, because
Yeah.
again, you and I are having a conversation here,
Mhm.
but what I may be thinking, though, is completely different from what
Yes.
you and I are doing. So to uproot that story here, again,
Yes.
to start taking and just witnessing our thoughts that way.
Yes.
Your comments on that?
Yes. I channel a group of beings who guide us into highest consciousness. And one of the things we've been doing lately is something similar that evolves this concept. In some of my classes, we've been doing love, 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 where we sit down and we write love, 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 love. And then before you know it, you're hearing the voice of love. What would love teach me? What would love tell me? And so we've been doing that very deliberately with a question. So you sit down and you write love, 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 with the intention of saying, what would the voice of love identify as my saboteurs? Love, 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 love. What would the voice of love identify as the parts of me resistant to my good? And you start writing love, 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 love with this question in the back of your mind. And what comes up is the answers.
Absolutely.
And literally, we've been talking about this in several different ways, but that's another way that we can use the power of love to smoke out that which is unlike it, to identify that which is unlike it, to bring up that which is unlike it so that we can examine it objectively and heal it and transform it.
I would like to invite those who are viewing this evening, if you have a question about this or you feel blocked in any area, then go ahead and put your question in the comments, and then Reverend Dr. Jim will go ahead and we'll answer them too. So just go ahead and put it in the comments, and then we will answer as time permits. Why don't we take a break?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be back with a lot more. You are watching this evening The Miracle of Prosperity here on your New Thought Media Network, and we'll be back in just one moment.
What would Louise say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
The Heal Your Life Workshop Facilitator and Life Coach Certification Training, approved personally by Louise Hay, is coming to San Diego. Facilitated by expert trainers Christy Dixon and Anna Milkick. This 3.5-month training includes multiple sessions on Zoom and 9 days in beautiful San Diego. It will change your life and enable you to help others transform their lives.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk. Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Reverend Michael.
Yes.
Thank you for being here with us on the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network.
Go ahead.
We are discussing healing and transforming your inner saboteurs, silencing them. And while we were away, someone texted me a question.
Okay, go ahead.
They texted me that I'm going to summarize it, that they are afraid of the world right now. Okay. And this causes them to lack confidence in them having a bright future.
Okay.
And so I thought to myself, this is a part of this person and all of us that has felt wounded and powerless and fears that the world would continue to wound us.
Right.
This part of us does not feel loved and does not feel that the world is a loving place.
Yes.
So I thought, how can we retrain this part of this person? How can we support this person in reforming their consciousness? And one of the thoughts that came to me, and there were a number of them, so we'll bounce some thoughts back and forth.
Okay.
One of the thoughts that came to me is this part of this person, when did they first feel the world was wicked and hostile? Because this just didn't pop into their head yesterday. This has been like at the acorn is to the oak. It has been a part of consciousness that has likely grown up with them. And so what I would say, first of all, is run, not walk, to that safe space where you already have cultivated an energy around you, where you are adept at drawing forth the light and the healing grace of God, and to ask yourself, when did I first believe I was unsafe in the world?
And let me expand on that. So I hear individuals concerned about the news, our government. And what I have been sharing with individuals is, again, that when you feel like you're going through the fire,
Mhm,
you have a choice either to let it burn you or to
mhm.
let it purify you.
Yes.
So when you feel unsafe about the government,
Mhm,
the president,
mhm,
whatever is going on out there, if you act as a witness and
mhm.
ask yourself, when did I first feel this? I really believe that what is going on now can be for our benefit
Yes.
because it's bringing up all of those thoughts of being unsafe,
Yes.
uncared for,
Mhm.
not enough. And so this is a really good time. So if I don't have those thoughts, then how would I feel?
Mhm.
So I think that this is a really good time rather than to say, well, okay, what uh okay, when is this when is this going to end? If
Yes.
you go ahead and just start doing some inner reflection and say, okay, when did I first have I ever felt this before? Like what you said before, that series of questions. Have I
Yes.
ever felt this before? Have I ever felt unsafe? A lot of it comes from us growing up in dysfunctional families, of which
Right.
uh, 98%.
99 point and 44 100ths of a percent of us did.
Right. And also that many of us have also grown up, again, abused, hurt, and so on.
Yes.
So maybe what is causing the inner turmoil is not what's going on out there, but what's going on in me that's being brought up for healing.
Absolutely. I use a lot of different mantras. The key mantra that I use is everything I see begins and ends with me. So I don't waste my time and energy, and I guide my clients not to waste their time and energy blaming and shaming that outside of them, but to understand, as A Course in Miracles says, all things are lessons God would have me learn.
Yes,
There is an opportunity for healing here. Right now, we are in the age of miracles.
absolutely.
The people in my class, amazingly, have realized that they have created for themselves the lives that they didn't even dare dream was possible for them. And they realize that miracles are now everyday occurrences, not these amazing coincidences. And what A Course in Miracles teaches us is that everybody is entitled to miracles, but purification is necessary first, which is one of the things you brought up, Reverend Michael. And this process that we're going through collectively is a process of mass purification.
Yeah,
Anything held in shadow is coming up in, for lack of a better term, in spades, where we cannot look away from it, we cannot deny it, nor can we explain it away, wish it away, or gaslight it away anymore. It's coming up because this is the part of our consciousness that must be healed in order for us to move to the next level of consciousness. This is what we cannot take forward. So we must address it, heal it, transform it. And so all this, I love the word you used before. All this outer noise is designed to cause us to go within,
absolutely.
purify, because we are the light workers. We are the lighthouses that have our souls have decided to come here on the earth in order to shine light so that other souls who are out there in the waves coming towards what looks like a rocky shore can find their way to light as well. And so
Absolutely.
all things or lessons God would have us learn, or as the Bible says, uh, everything works for the good. Or as A Course in Miracles says, if you only knew that all things past, present, and to be are gently planned by the one who would only lead you to your good. We know that this is all leading to good, but it begins with our inner consciousness. And that's why we're being triggered so much right now.
So a Bible verse is also coming to mind. Seek ye first
Yes.
the kingdom of God, which is within you.
Yes.
Seek ye first, and then all these things shall be added unto you.
Yes.
And again, that doesn't mean necessarily through your job. Again, that may be a good channel. Through the government. Again, that may be a good channel.
Yes.
What if those dry up?
Yes.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. We have some questions here. Would you like to take a couple of them?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see here. And get my arrow here.
And I'll put on my glasses so I can read them.
Okay. Well, I'll read them for you.
Okay.
Yes. Isabella is with us this evening, and she says, good evening. My question is, what are the differences in miseducation and misinformation or misunderstanding, and what choices, she clarifies it, and what choices do we have among them? I'll just say that again. So what are the differences between miseducation, misinformation, or misunderstanding, and then what choices do we have among them?
Wow. There, to a large degree, they could be distinctions without a difference. Miseducation largely is what has been foisted upon us, that which may be, let's call it, in the ether or the water, the general consciousness.
Also called race consciousness.
Yes, right. Misinformation might be something similar, but it might have been less, let's call it, less in the water and more purposefully targeted or more purposefully developed in order to control us. For example, let's use an example of religious misinformation. We are all born to sin.
Yes.
Okay. So that may be a distinction between broad miseducation and misinformation. And misunderstanding is how we have interpreted and internalized both miseducation and misinformation with negative results. We have internalized miseducation and misinformation to believe that there was something wrong with us, that we are undeserving of our good, that there is something outside of us that would always hurt us or thwart our will, or that God doesn't like people like us, or that the universe doesn't support us, or the world is wicked and hostile. So we have internalized the miseducation and the misinformation, and it has misguided us into allowing manifestations that are not loving.
Right.
And we can choose to address it all. Now, A Course in Miracles is basically, no matter how thick the book is, no matter how indecipherable some of the language may seem at this time, A Course in Miracles basically is a set of choices. I have a new word.
Do we choose?
Do we?
Go ahead.
Do we choose our divine identity, which is truth, or do we choose our human identity, which is false? Our divine identity is whole, loving, lovable, love-able, deserving, beautiful, powerful, graceful, peaceful, and it is infinite in its ability, and it is infinite in its existence.
Yeah.
And we can choose that consciousness, or We can choose the consciousness that formed us in this life, which is just a portion of all of the grace and glory that we are, that believes itself to be weak, sinful, unworthy, undeserving, powerless, and a victim. Now, A Course in Miracles says, you always have a choice. Just keep choosing the highest consciousness. Ask, what is the highest vision? Receive the highest vision and be that highest vision. And it's a choice. It's simple and it's binary, but it's a choice we have to make thousands of times a day. So A Course just conditions us to make that choice.
And to understand that everyone,
Yes.
all several billion of us, are thinking into this one consciousness,
Yes.
and that we are affected by it more than we think.
Yes.
So the whole idea is, well, how do I get out of that? Well, again, it's the whole idea of a higher vibration.
Yes.
If it, like, again, example is a huge aircraft,
Mm-hmm.
a huge jet taking off.
Yes.
Again, gravity keeps it down. That is, again, kind of a lower vibration. But if you go ahead and you turn on the jet engines and get up to a speed, what you're able to do is you're able then to use a higher law,
Yes.
law of aerodynamics, and to take you up then. So if you're being affected by race consciousness, or again, the what people are saying around you, one of the good things to do is to, and again, not to get rid of all your friends. I mean, some people, yes, you may be guided and directed to go ahead and to say, well, thank you very much. But I would say, again, to go beyond what you're thinking, is to say, okay, what is the spiritual equivalent? What is trying to get out from me? Because when, again, if we take responsibility for our lives by noticing again our own inner conversation, what happens is that outpictures into our life. We have questions, and I have
All right.
questions here. So
Okay.
would you like to take another question from our
Yes,
audience?
let's do another question.
Okay. Good evening, Reverend Jean Batt. And she
Yes.
says, is there a practice that we can use to build self-respect as a part of the rebalancing of the saboteur patterns? Good question.
Absolutely. Self-respect is simply a synonym for self-love, self-appreciation, and self-awareness. But the self that we must love, the self that we must appreciate, the self of which we must be aware, is the light self within us, not the ego self that we thought we were. Once again, here's that choice. Am I my highest self, my one self, united with my creator? Am I my light self? Am I my eternal self? Am I my holy and perfect self? Or am I the self that I've learned to judge and criticize, and that the world has criticized and judged? Am I the self that is guilty and feeling unworthy? That's, again, the binary choice. So we practice being our highest self, our daily spiritual practice, where we immerse ourselves in the light of our eternal selves, in the light of the universe, in the love of God, and in the vibratory rate of that love. When we practice that vibration, when we cultivate that vibration, when we continually attain and maintain that vibration, we take it with us wherever we go, just like perfume that we put on in the morning before we leave the house, right?
Absolutely.
And just like
Or
perfume,
cologne.
or cologne, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And just like perfume or cologne, like that Ashford and Simpson song, "It Seems to Hang On."
Yes.
Just like perfume or cologne seems to hang on as we continually cultivate our highest consciousness, as we continually think out of, feel as if we are, and vibrate with the energy of our highest self. We take it with us during the day, and its wisdom, its confidence, its peace, its clarity, its power, and its purpose must be made manifest. So
Absolutely.
just like you put on your cologne or your perfume before you leave the house, put on your God self and wear that during the day. And
Absolutely.
anytime you find it wearing off, go take a moment. Take a moment. A Course in Miracles, they ask us to repeat the lesson once every hour. And that's to literally reinforce the idea that it is useful to continually take a pit stop in light, even as you go through your day.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kiva. Happy Mother's Day. Absolutely. We forgot to mention that. So happy Mother's Day to all our mothers out there. And again, honoring the sacred feminine energy today. So happy Mom's Day. Regina has a question here. It
Yes.
says, we hear a phrase that we were built for this moment, which is why that we're here at this time. Your thoughts?
Oh, yes. I have about 1,000 thoughts on this. One of the reasons we came to this life and our lives may seem to have been so difficult right now is because this is a turning point for the earth. My guides often call it the age of miracles into which we are evolving. And as we said before, there's a lot of darkness that is coming up for healing, and we are the bridge.
Absolutely.
So what we did, first of all, we said, I've got all this baggage that I must clear in order that I would purify. And then when we get here, after we've been so punch drunk thinking, oh, I can go down and do this, we say, well, gee, why has my life been so challenging? It is because we knew that this was the first time in eons that there was enough light on the earth for us to purify so that we could lead the earth forward in its purification. And that's why we are here. And that's why many of us have experienced lives that made it impossible for us not to look at our darkness and heal it. Because
Absolutely.
we knew that there would be a time when it would be impossible for the world to not look at its darkness and heal it. And we were created for this time.
Absolutely. I have this hour has gone by pretty quickly.
Yes.
So what form has the inner saboteurs likely to take? What within us? What is that form? And how can we heal that?
The easiest way to answer that question is to go to the root of all the inner saboteurs. At the root of all the inner saboteurs is the inner child. Because you see, the inner child is almost like an amalgamation of the issues that we came to heal. Whatever it is we came to heal in this lifetime, those issues crystallized in our inner child because we chose the parents and the circumstances that would enable those issues to crystallize. You know, there's those Thomas Newton books, Life Between Lives and Journey of Souls.
Yes.
They give all the case studies of how souls chose the parents and the life circumstances that would most optimally cause their souls to heal. Well, we did that. And so the inner child has all the stories we came to undo. The inner child experienced all the trauma that we came to heal. The inner child came with a life script that we have learned to turn around. And so by looking at the inner child, we can be very efficient about addressing all the saboteurs. Because guess what? The inner saboteurs are just the adult faces of the inner child.
Yes.
And that just keeps it simple.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about a couple of others that I didn't really get a chance to address.
Okay.
One of them is the inner saint, the
All right.
other being the inner sinner. The inner saint has been brought up to believe that there is this standard of perfection that we must all meet. And if we do not, there is something wrong with us and we will not deserve our good.
Yeah, and that's what religion has taught us.
Yes,
And
exactly.
again, especially growing up in the church, that that is that you were born to do this, and that you really need some help here. So go ahead.
And the inner sinner says, screw this, I'm just going to have a good time.
Well, so what is a healthy medium then?
The healthy medium is to understand that you were placed on the earth for the purposes of joy, and that which is not bringing you joy is inconsistent with the will of God. So the first thing that may not be bringing you joy is comparison, because comparison kills prosperity. You may be comparing yourself to a standard that is simply a cartoon. Remember Jessica Rabbit? No
Yes.
woman.
Go
It
ahead.
is anatomically and physically impossible to be built like that because you couldn't pass enough food to nourish the body, right?
Right.
So we all have this image of ourselves as Jessica Rabbit. Not in that sense, not in terms of physique, but there is this idealized vision of ourselves that it is impossible to attain. And we believe we are unworthy of our good because we can't attain it. So the first thing to understand is that that inner saint has created a cartoon that is impossible. So as the inner says, screw it. God created you perfect for your purpose. And whatever your purpose is, you are perfect for it.
Absolutely.
And so releasing those false ideas of perfection can be useful. And then understanding on the other end of the extreme, we've all eaten too much ice cream and we know when enough is enough, right?
Well, of course.
So quite often we are over correcting for pain if we allow that, quote, inner sinner to run amok. So we have to look at the pain that the inner sinner is feeling and heal it so that the inner sinner doesn't believe that the, quote, sin, and there is no such thing as sin. I just use this word as a convenience. But so that this sin does not equally sabotage its good. Because you know what happens when you eat too much ice cream, right? Get a tummy ache. So there is a balance. And that balance is unconditional, loving self-acceptance.
Absolutely.
And we teach ourselves unconditional, loving self-acceptance or radical self-acceptance when we sit with ourselves, when we allow the grace of God to comfort, heal, infiltrate, and be at union with what we thought has been our human selves. When we recognize that our true selves are our highest selves, and we cultivate that consciousness through our spiritual practice. There's a lesson in A Course in Miracles. Salvation comes from my one self. I can be free from the pain, suffering, struggle, and lack of my human ego when I recognize and experience myself as my highest self. And when we get to know our highest self, when we operate out of our highest self, when we nurture our highest self, when we see the world through the eyes of our highest self, that highest self knows that it has never been separated from God. It is not a sinful prodigal child. It is perfect, whole, and complete. And when every aspect of us vibrates with this highest self, that is the kingdom of heaven that we've cultivated from within. And it shows up in our outer world because everything within us must show up in our outer world. That's the law of inner cause and outer effect.
You are not going to believe this. We are all out of time.
Oh, no.
Reverend Jim, what have you been working on recently? Do you
Well,
have new classes coming up?
yes, I actually have new classes coming up, and it's no accident that we've been talking about the inner child so much because my next set of classes have to do with number one, becoming and maintaining the consciousness of the highest self, and then healing the consciousness of the inner child. My first class is Beyond Channeling, Spiritual Transformation. What we've been discussing this evening has been all about transforming from that concept of ourselves as sinful, as unworthy, as unloved, as unlovable, and transforming into our highest selves, the part of us that knows of our oneness with the divine force and source, the part of us that knows of our innocence, and the part of us that knows of our desire. So this 8-week summer mastery series includes Beyond Channeling. It's about drawing in the light of the Holy Spirit, remembering our oneness with it, operating from it, getting messages, guidance, and support from it. But it goes beyond that. It goes also to allowing that light to transform us so we operate as our highest selves. So that's 8 weeks beginning on June 15th. It's on Zoom, so no matter where you are in the country or the world, you can participate. You also get the recordings so that you can work on the powerful prayers, the powerful ideas, the powerful discussions and healings. You can work on those on your own time as well. And yeah, there's a discount if you pre-register. So that's one of the things I'm working on. Beyond Channeling, Spiritual Transformation. How can we transform into our highest self? So as you said, Reverend Michael, so we could seek first the kingdom of heaven and then let all else be added unto us. And then the second thing I'm working on is what we've been talking about as well. Spirit speaks on healing the child within. You see, you can't master your life until you master the child within you that has been running your life. And so what we will do here, and Spirit will do it through me, it's a channel class, powerful spiritual energy, powerful prayers, powerful mantra, powerful group energy, powerful discussions, powerful healing, powerful insights. And you can ask your questions so that Spirit can direct the light of grace to that part of you, the inner child, that has yearned to be loved, to be seen, to be heard, to be embraced, and to remember that it is love. So this is 8 weeks also, and it begins for 8 Thursdays beginning June 18th. Yet again, it's on Zoom. So this powerful energy in these classes, because it's not just the energy of Spirit coming through me, it's the energy of Spirit coming through me, affecting the energy of everyone participating. And that collective is so amazing. As I've mentioned to you before, many of the people in my classes are now living lives that they didn't even dare imagine that they could live, and attaining things that they didn't dare imagine that they could attain. And this is the power of Spirit in our lives. I invite everybody to take part in this before it sells out, so that we can all optimize our lives in light. So this is what I'm working on these days.
And I really want to emphasize this. These classes sell out quickly. Both Reverend Jim and I are not kidding. He gets calls on the day of begging for people to be in the class. Now, yes, you can go ahead and get them on recording for $100. But if your spirit within is calling you for these classes, now is the time. Today is the day of salvation, not next week.
Yes.
So now is a good time to get hold of Reverend Jim. 202-253-6009. Now is the time to sign up for these classes. Go ahead.
And let me tell you something. I wait for guidance from above as to what classes to do next because Spirit has a curriculum for us and I yield to that. Well, I got this on Saturday night. I put together an email on Sunday morning and I announced it in church on Sunday morning. And between the email that I put out yesterday and announcing it in church this morning, I'm already 25% sold in less than 24 hours.
I'm again that if your soul is calling you to take these classes during the summer, yeah, I know you have vacation and things, but again, that if you need to miss a week, okay, it'll be on tape. But now is the time to sign up. Not do not wait till the day of. Now is the time to sign up. And again, the easiest way to get a hold of Reverend Jim is 202-253-6009. You can also pay for the classes online, and Reverend Jim will give you more information about that.
Oh, that's simple. Just use that same number and go to Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal using that same number, and pay for the class and do it before somebody else, and you're in.
I will let you have the last word.
Well, I want to thank you, Reverend Michael, for assisting us this evening. And I want to just invite everyone to realize that the part of you that is God is much greater than the part of you that has been in the past, the saboteur that has held you back. The God part of you is stronger, wiser, greater, more powerful, and is waiting to simply dissolve the last vestiges of the inner saboteurs. No matter how you do it, allow the light of God that you have become adept at drawing to you in prayer and meditation to dissolve, dismantle, and undo the damage of the inner saboteurs. And that light will do it. Perhaps we can help in the classes. Thank you for being with us tonight. Everyone have a wonderful week.